Hi, welcome. Let's talk about CovidSafe. Primarily, let's talk about when will the government release the source code to CovidSafe. For those who don't know, the source code is the program that the person writes. There are two different forms. There's the text form, which is the stuff that you would type into your keyboard. It's like using a word processor or notepad or those things. That's translated into something the computer understands, because the code is something that we understand and the computers don't understand what we do. So we pass that code through a compiler, and that compiler then translates whatever language we're using into a binary, which is something the computer can understand. Now, at the moment, the government have given us an assurance that they were going to release the source code to CovidSafe. Now, this is important for two reasons. This application deals with encryption and networking. There are two specialty fields. Encryption in particular is a very math-heavy subject. The kind of encryption they're using in this is way above my pay grade, that's for sure. It's probably based on pretty good privacy, where there's got a public and private key, but the math behind that is brutal. Go and look it up if you want to have a look. The other issue is networking. Networking, that type of programming is another specialty. It's like doing, if you have to make a comparison, it's like trying to program a 3D engine is a very different thing than trying to write a compiler, or trying to write a word processing application or a video editing tool. They're all very different things, and you need different skills to do those things. What people are concerned about is that they want to make sure that the way the encryption is done, the way the networking is done, is that there's no unwanted side effects of the way it's implemented. Sometimes in website programming, for example, it's easy you're using your encryption library, etc. But if you use it incorrectly, you can inadvertently think you're creating something that's secure and wonderful, but someone realizes there's an easy way past because you've implemented that functionality poorly. Seeing the source code would let us know that. I'm not going to be going over it myself, but a lot of obviously people who are networking experts and security experts in general, they'll be picking over this thing left, right and centre, and they already have begun to. There's a GitHub already with people picking this thing apart, and they've noticed a few things already that are not great. One of the ones they noticed was that it was transmitting data about the phone type, or characteristics about the phone in raw text. Now, you might think that's no big deal, who cares about that? Well, that's one way that you can be ID'd. When you browse websites and you're not logged into a website, you can still be identified as being you. One easy way of doing it is they work out from the metadata that's sent from your computer back to the website you're talking to. There's strings in there that have things like the screen size and what kind of browser you're using, and it can be quite involved actually. A lot of information is passed backwards and forwards all the time. Now, things like the screen size and the type of browser, they don't change. So even though your IP address might be randomized all the time, you're still trackable. So the fact that the app leaches that information about your phone, now what does that mean in terms of privacy? It's a hard one to work out, because really what they're gathering is a linked list of associations. You're here, you've been in touch with this person here, this person here, this person, and they themselves have a link, a circle of these links, etc. So the theory being is if you're direct, these people in your downline here are noticed, they can be found quite easily. Or anyone below this might go very deep. As for how it determines false positives, now that's something that I don't understand how it could possibly do. Because they're using Bluetooth, the Bluetooth has no position. You don't actually have it. That's what GPS would give you. If your phone is here, GPS satellite's up here, it sends out its position and a timestamp. And the length of time it takes to get to you, that determines how far away you are from this satellite. You need 3 of these things to work out where you are, but you know how far you are away from it with just one. So it gives you a radius where you're likely to be within. If that's you there, for example. The other satellite's over here, the other one's over here somewhere. The point where these 3 circles are going to intersect, that's your location. This radius from each one of these. Now, the math is not that difficult. I think that the circle intersection problem is kind of probably more difficult than what I'm giving it credit, but it's very sensitive to accuracy. Your phone, your device has to have a very sensitive clock. The satellites have atomic clocks in them, so they are very accurate. But your cheap phone may not be, so your results might be within, a 20 metres square. But if you go up to higher levels where it's like military grade, they might use, 4 or 5 satellites, and all their devices would have, atomic clocks in them. Probably not atomic clocks, but something that's just as accurate as those. And that precision would come down and say a 20 metre square, like you're roughly within this range, down to 2 metre square or something like that. For Bluetooth, you don't have a position to start with. You just have a radius. As far as I understand what they're talking about. So I'm here, you're there. We can't really compute this distance. We don't know where I am or you are. We just have this idea of what the signal strength is between you and them. So I assume they're just using, or if you're a very low signal strength, we'll assume you're 10 meters away or 20 meters or something like that. That's a bad assumption given that some Bluetooth devices can broadcast a long way. My headphones, from the laptop here, I can walk around the house and be outside. That was the other thing as well, is if you're sitting here, another person's there might be a wall between you two. So even though you might be 2 meters separated between the two of you, that doesn't mean you're actually in the same place. How it solves that, I guess I assume the signal strength is much weaker in that circumstance, and that would mean you would assume that you're further away. And that 15 minute rule too. So apparently it's only meant to track you if you're within 15 minutes. What it does, we don't know. We haven't got the source code to verify that accurately. It's kind of like, for people who don't code, it's kind of like going to the movies to see your favourite book translated to the big screen. And you rock up to the movies and go, this is awesome, it's going to be great. You walk in and go, oh, that's weird. How come Harry Potter is... why is there a TIE fighter in the background, and why is Cersei running around? What the hell is this? If you've never read the book, you wouldn't have a clue as to why the movie is different. So knowing the source material is important. Having some clue of what this thing was meant to do, how it's meant to do it, and not just buying into, well, we're saying it's special. Well, okay, let's see it. After they initially said they were going to release it, they reneged on that. They were going to not release it because of privacy issues. I guess there's possibly some issues in that with anything that deals with encryption in this country might come under some of our privacy laws that were enforced here or or modified in recent years. Dealing with encryption, I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get this thing. Hopefully they'll release it in the next 2 weeks, they say. Hopefully it's not redacted. Hopefully it's the complete source and you can rebuild the application exactly like it appears in your phone. If you can't, and they've modified it between when it was released here and when the binary, that is, the program you're running right now, to when they release this thing up here, then something is fishy. It won't matter anyway, because people will go out there and they will resource the binary, compare it back to this, and they will, if there's something dodgy about it, then they will wear that egg on their face. I suspect it's mostly a legal problem, actually. Can they release certain parts of the code because they might be owned by someone else? It's quite common in software in particular. Don't know. We'll soon find out though, won't we? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.